All right, what is going on, guys? So in today's video, I'm going to go over basically the single, most comprehensive blueprint for a Catholic man to essentially achieve all his hopes and dreams. I know that sounds kind of crazy to say, but I believe it, and this is what's worked for me, and this is really stuff nobody ever talks about. So I promise you, if you just watch the next 5 to 10 minutes, and you implement what I tell you, you will literally be able to achieve anything you want in life, okay? And it will lead to all the confidence and the wealth and anything else that you might want. Even the spiritual, piety that you seek in our daily spiritual practice can be found. So bear with me here through the next 5 to 10 minutes. Take notes, implement, and it'll change your life, I promise. All right, let's get started. So basically what I've laid out here is essentially a funnel for going from everything you want in life, and then how to spend your day today, and then everything in between. So the general notion here is that we need to chart a course to where we want to go, because those, all the sayings, those that fail to plan to fail, a ship never sets sail to sea without a destination, all of these ideas saying that there's no reason to go about doing anything until we have a plan to do it, okay? So we're going to start at the top, and I'm going to kind of explain how at the top of the funnel, we'll call this a funnel, sort of like a tube. At the top is Christ, the church, the Holy Spirit, all of our beliefs, essentially just the Trinity, right? God at the top. And from that, we derive all of these things that get us to our goal and the things we want in life. And then the bottom is the day-to-day. This bottom portion is how we spend our days, okay? So this is all we can control. But then this is where everything is coming from. All right, so let's get into it. So like I said, and I'll reiterate this a lot, everything has to come back to the church, has to come back to Christ, okay? So whenever we're planning things, we have to make sure, is it aligned with what is true and good and beautiful? So we should constantly be jumping back to make sure it is, all right? So the first thing I want you guys to do if you want to change your life is set a 25-year vision, okay? So the 25-year vision is probably the single most important document you'll ever make in your life. This is where you set a vision for what you want 25 years from now. So if you're 27 like I am, that would be 52 years old. What do you want in life when you're 52? There's these 4 areas of life that I'll talk about and kind of reference those a lot. Health, wealth, relationships, and self. So probably the things that you want, and I'm talking the material things in life. What the things you want resemble health, wealth, relationships, or self. Some bucket, one of those 4 buckets, right? So I'll kind of show you my example, and I'll explain how to build your 25-year vision, and then I'm going to talk about something called the letter, okay? So this is my 25-year vision. I use pictures. Okay, so we'll start with just the general idea. So basically, I want you to make a poster type of images that mean a lot to you. Okay, and they should be able to trigger an emotion inside of you. Okay, so for many reasons I chose these pictures. They're important to me, but I'll kind of go over some just so you have an idea of why I chose them. This guy, Wes Watson, is actually the first life coach I ever hired. Back then, I failed his program. I didn't believe in myself, and I had to quit. And one day, one of my dreams is to speak on stage with him. Just as he's not Christian or anything. This was before I was Christian, but it's more of an internal thing as to I want to achieve that. I didn't believe I could be that type of guy, and now I want to speak on stage and live up to that. And it also kind of is symbolic of me being a speaker, because he's a world speaker, which is one of my dreams. And I think as a side point, it's one of my dreams because I believe God is calling me to it, and so that's very important. So the vision should always derive from Christ. What is God calling you to? That should be in the vision, okay? I want to be fit when I'm 25. That's pretty clear. I'm sorry, when I'm 52. Yeah, 52. I want to be fit, right? I'll come to this one in a second. I want to be a world speaker. I want to bring my family together. My family is spread out across the country, and I want them to come together. I want 100 million followers on Instagram, and I want my family to kind of be close together. These two kind of go together. And then I want $100 million net worth. So the two I think are worth talking about are $100 million net worth and 100 million followers. And the reason is because I feel like God is calling me to make a big impact in the world. And one of the most surefire ways to make an impact is to use influence and to use money. Now, money in and of itself and influence in and of itself, or honor, prestige, whatever you want to call it, isn't bad in of itself. They're tools. And so my goal is to use those as tools to bring people to the good. So make yours. You can use canva.com. The free trial is plenty good. And choose images. Now you can also choose words too and put them. Sometimes I've seen vision boards where they put little squares. I actually think I have it in my mini vision, which I'll get to in a second. But yeah, you can put little words too, but we want the pictures because that's going to invoke emotion. So again, what things do you want? Degrees, accomplishments, what type of house, what size house do you want? I want a 5,000 square foot house in Northern California by the time I'm 40 years old. Okay, very specific things. The more specific you get, the more likely you are to actualize it. Okay, how much money do you want in the bank? Get specific on this. You should have rich people, maybe I should say financially independent people, people that don't worry about money, have very specific financial goals. Okay, I want you to know your why when you're making your 25-year vision. One of the reasons is because that's going to like foster the drive for it. So there's going to be tough times. There's going to be times you want to fall off, focus on other things, but we have to remember the why for all of the things in our vision. And spend time on this. Journal about it. Think in prayer about it, okay? Because you'll notice this is all, it's somehow stemming from Christ. Christ is calling you to do something, and we want to discern what that is, and then we want to know why that is, and we want to kind of what would you say, immortalize it in these pictures so we can constantly see it all the time. All right, so that's kind of the 25-year vision. There's kind of a complementary part to this, which is the letter. So let's get into the letter. The letter is something you write to yourself about the type of man you want to be. So in 25 years, we're talking about the vision, but there's two parts of the vision. There's like the things you want, but there's also like the type of man you want to be, right? Because life's not all just materialistic. But also life is not just the internal. It seems like there's an external and an internal. We want to cover both. So in terms of the letter, I want you to write to yourself the man that you want to be. Okay, so character traits. I desire to be a man who is honest, who is understanding. I desire to be a man who gets up at 4 a.m. and he says his prayers every morning. How do you want to treat others? How do you want to deal with fear and risk? I desire to be a man who has courage, that even if he feels apprehension, he steps into it anyway, despite the fear, because the Bible tells me to be not afraid. Okay? Write out the type of man you want to be. Now, when you have these two things, I want you to take a cork board, like off Amazon or Walmart, and I want you to hang it up on your wall in your office or your bedroom, and I want you to start putting things on it. And start with the letter and start with your vision. Now, personally, what works for me is I put this as my laptop background, but for a long time it was on my cork board. So I look at my laptop more than I look at my office wall. So this was a better place for it, was my laptop background. But for you, do whatever. You should be in a place where you see it all the time, okay? All right. Now that you have your 25-year vision, it's somewhere where you see it, laptop background, a corkboard. We move on to the next thing, which is building your mini vision. All right. So when it comes to the mini vision, this is like a truncated version of the big vision. All right. So let's say your big vision is to be a world famous painter. Okay. Maybe you want to be the next like Picasso. Well, a mini vision from today, 6 to 12 months down the road, might be to land your first like gig as a like what's it called? Commission, maybe, as a painter. Like someone is paying you to paint a painting. Land your first gig, I'll call it, right? So it's truncated. It's getting you towards the big vision, but it's like a mini thing. Okay. Now it's not a goal. It's not I will paint X paintings by this date. Okay. It's not a goal. It's just a vision. More vague, can be picturized. That's what we're looking for. Okay. So here's my old one. So this is my first one that I ever made. I wanted 60 clients in my fitness business, and this was by June 1st, 2024. I wanted to build like a community of people. Now I didn't know what I was doing. I wanted all my friends together, so I didn't really know what I meant here. I've improved as I've gone along. I wanted to be 239 pounds. I wanted to put 20,000 towards my grandma's house because I don't want her to pass and then the house just goes into test state. I wouldn't like that. It has an emotional tie to me. So anyway, I have all these goals. And you'll notice I'm using pictures and words, right? So that's important. If you resonate more with pictures, use pictures. If you resonate more with words, use words. But I want you to use both at times. Now, when it comes to the vision, I want your vision to be reasonable, okay? I want it to be pretty reasonable. The reason is because I don't think setting very difficult goals and then failing on them is good for achieving our big vision. I think it lowers our self-belief. So I recommend not doing that, but to each their own. Again, the health, wealth, relationships, and self. While you're doing all these things, there are things you want that Christ gave you from health, wealth, relationships, and self. And you can include like your spiritual relationship with Christ and relationships. That's what I do. Okay. Here's a new mini vision that I have. This one's probably a little better. It's a financial goal. I have go to Rome. I want to visit Rome. I want to compete in my show. I want 100,000 followers, 50K saved towards grandma's house, and then, well, don't tell Michaela, but something here. So, and then 100 clients. So yeah, that's pretty much the step towards the big vision. Okay. And if this is mine, this doesn't change the 25-year. This changes every 6 months, December 31st. So January 1st, I'll make a new one. Okay. Now that you have this, I would recommend putting it on the board. See, mine's up here. Why? Speaking of, well, if I have time, I'll come back and talk about the sports car. It's not because I'm materialistic. It has like an emotional thing to me. I'll explain. The reason I kind of touch on that is because if you're buying, if material items are on your vision for the sake of their materialistic, like, you know, fanciness, I guess, like you want to flex it, I would ask to like really make sure you know why you want the thing. Always know your why, because the why, if it's not oriented towards Christ, it's not worth it. It's not worth, and frankly, if it's not worth it, if it's not oriented towards Christ, I'm not sure if this whole spiel works. Okay. It's got to be oriented towards the good, and you can achieve what you want. All right. Once you got your mini vision, I want you to come down to goals. All right, so kind of think of what's going on here. We started it with like Christ, the one, and then the idea that Christ gave us like a vision to achieve things decades down the road. Well, we've kind of conceptualized that, and now we've created like a truncated version that we can actually manage and like wrap our head around, and that's 6 months down the road or 12 months, whatever you prefer. Okay, but now how do we get there? Well, we need goals, and I recommend you set weekly goals and monthly goals. Again, weekly goals and monthly goals in health, wealth, relationships, and self. So what I do, and this is what I recommend, is you set the goals by making them on your Instagram story, save the photo, and then use that as your lock screen and your home screen. So let's give you an example here. This is currently my lock screen, so my 4 goals are 236 pounds, complete a time study, 5 new clients, and over-deliver service to my clients. That's my week 3 goals, okay, of June. That's my lock screen. And then these are my monthly goals for June 2024. 30K month, 240 pounds, plan a trip to Rome, go to confession. Home screen. Pretty straightforward. Why do I do this? Same reason I put the big vision as my laptop background. I never escape it. I have to see these things all the time. It's why the mini vision's on the corkboard. I don't get to escape this stuff. My whole life is aligned, okay? This type of alignment skyrockets you towards your dream. Okay, so I recommend placing these as screens. All right, now finally, we've done all the foo-foo work, like the philosophy. We've done all the thinking. Now we have to talk about implementation and action. This is where habits come in. So, as you might have read, Atomic Habits, James Clear, very famous book, All of Life is Habits. He makes the argument. It's a big deal, okay? In fact, if you were to ever read a book after watching this, I would read Atomic Habits. The Bible and then Atomic Habits. So your habits should be tracked, okay? And the reason is because you want to see how you're doing and you want to be inspired to continue going. So we're going to start here with a habit tracker. So when we have our goals set, let's say 236 pounds, okay? I was only 232 at the beginning of the week, or 233. So 3 pounds, kind of ambitious, but whatever. What does that mean? I have to eat more. So I have to hit my macronutrients, and I have to hit my calories. So those should be good goals, right? So one of my goals should probably be macros, and one of them is probably working out. And that should probably apply to most people, macros and working out. And then I recommend everyone has prayer habits, whether that's rosary, morning prayer, examination of conscience, Lectio Divina. I don't care. Maybe all of them. Put one on. Make it a habit. And then once you have that, I would also recommend a study habit. You should be progressing in knowledge in an area of life to develop a new skill set or a new concept, because you're a man. You're going to be leading families, businesses, your job, whatever. But people are going to look to you for leadership. We got to be continually improving. Also, like, seeking knowledge is good. So this is an example of an old habit tracker I used, which I still use this type of book. This is just from an old month, and it's a good example. So like back then, my habits were rosary, prayer, retention. So like, business, book, stretches. I fractured my L3, and so stretching, counting calories and workout. And then I completed them or I missed them. So very valuable. All right. And two things I highlighted when you're doing your habits: you should develop a morning routine with these habits in them and a night routine with some of these habits in them. And that will be, and make that part of your life. And they're scheduled, and that's like part of your life because it's going to be easier to execute the habits. Now, I also recommend blocking out your time for your habits. So this is an old calendar a couple weeks ago, and I take my calendar very seriously. This is actually a much better way to live than to just give it a go every day. So you'll notice for my morning routine, I have that blocked off. That's when I do most of my habits. And then I color code everything. Orange is personal, like lifestyle. Blue is work. Red is sales calls. Gold is my faith, so confession. Purple is fitness. And I think that's all of them. Green is miscellaneous. So I take my calendar very seriously because you're now, one version of yourself is telling a future version of yourself what to do. And you have to own up to it. That's good, though. That's good because you're in charge, and then a future version of you is going to follow the orders. Otherwise, it's just you living off the whim of the day, and we won't execute as efficiently. So block out times for your habits, for your daily to-do tasks, and stick to it, okay? Treat it as, this is a great lesson to remember, treat the time blocks on your calendar like an appointment with yourself. You are having a meeting with yourself, and you show up for you. Why? Because going to that meeting is based on the habits that you know you need to form to reach your goals, to reach your mini vision, to reach your big vision, to bring you closer to Christ. So you've already done all the legwork. All you have to do now is just stick to the time blocks. Just stick to the time blocks, and you achieve your dream. Isn't that amazing? It works. Trust me. So update these. Actually, you don't really have to update habits. You might tweak one every month. So what I would recommend is, and I'll link this link in the video description. This is called a habit tracker from the Habit Journal. I'll link the link below. And then each month, just write your habits. And then I usually change one or two each month just based on like my goals or whatever. But they usually stay the same. So you don't have to update these much, but you update your goals based on the mini vision. Every 6 months, I update the mini vision. And then I'm getting closer and closer to the 25 year. And that brings me closer to God. So I hope this was valuable. I'm telling you guys, this will change your life. If you're struggling with drifting, aimlessness, lack of purpose, start here and just cross off each one after the other. You'll need a printer, a corkboard, some thumbtacks, a smartphone, and a habit journal. And you get to achieve everything you want in life. Just got to do the work. Okay, I hope this was valuable, guys. Yeah, if you got value, drop a like. And if you are struggling as a Catholic man with fitness, you're more than welcome to book a one-on-one call with me personally. I'll link the link in the description, and I'll see if I can help you out. All right, guys, thank you so much. God bless.